we're here on another episode of making a resin guitar. So far, cut out the headstock to make it look a bit like a Fender Stratocaster headstock. We've chopped apart the body to make room for the resin rivers that we're going to place in this, putting these pieces together like this. And as you can tell, we've stained it a beautiful green. So today we move on to the next step, and that is the preparation work to prepare the mould for the resin pour. So let's go. Okay, first things first, we need to find out the perimeter of the boundary of the guitar, where we need to build a fence to keep the epoxy contained after we've poured it. So our Strat template, our blueprint that we have, is pretty helpful. Whilst it's not exactly the same shape as this guitar, it does give me an idea of where this piece needs to be attached. And now I'm able to get a measure around all of these areas and across where the resin fills are going to be, to determine how much of a boundary I need to make. And that boundary I'm going to cut out of this. This is a 0.7mm thick piece of PVC. So firstly I need to establish what length I need to cut off in order to start building my mould. Right, to do this, I think I need to hold this into place temporarily with a little bit of tape. I don't want it moving around while we're measuring. So we'll hold that there. And we'll put some tape on there. Broadly that follows the contours. Initially we only want an approximation in our sort of measure, because we can always fine tune it later. So we'll go as high as possible with the numbers to give me a room for margin. Right, so we'll stick our tape on the end, just there. Now with our tape measure, come around the body, come around to there. This is going to be filled in with resin, so we need to come across to there, around the upper part, around the neck pocket, around the second horn, across the next resin fill, base of the guitar, and across to the finish. And we're looking at, in fact it's gone over the 150 centimeters, but we might as well call it 5 foot or 60 inches. So that gives me a rough idea how much PVC I need to cut out now. So now here we are on the workshop floor. Find our way across to 5 foot mark. Feels weird working in feet and inches, but yeah. And we'll mark it accordingly. Next, we need to measure the height of the guitar, because when I pour the resin, it's going to come up to level with the top of the surface. So we need to make sure that our dam is actually higher than the level of the guitar. So the guitar is 45mm high, so we're going to make our dam 6 centimeters, 60mm high. Measured up carefully, and we're now ready to make our cut. And we will be using this section here to wrap around the outside of the guitar. I'll show you the base in a minute. So I mentioned what I was going to use as the base earlier, and you might be wondering why I've not cut out another sheet of PVC. And the reason why is quite simply because I have a 50 centimetre circular round mould that I use for my coffee tables that I make. And why this is particularly good is when I pour the resin onto this, because it's made of silicone, the epoxy resin doesn't bond with silicone. So what we'll be doing is we'll be placing our guitar into the mould, like so. And then I'll place our, choose a bit of tape here to help. And then we'll place our PVC around the outside of the body, making sure that we preserve all of the contours. So here we get to here, and then there's a cutout for a resin area, and you can see that the PVC shapes quite nicely around that. Around the body, pushing it into every single curve and taping it lightly just to hold it into place. Oh. That's good, bring it down to the way. Right, okay. Obviously when we pour the epoxy, what the PVC around the outside will do is it will stop the epoxy escaping from the sides. I am going to need to find a way of adhering the bottom of this PVC to the silicone underneath here. And I think the way that I'm going to do that, I could use silicone from a silicone gun. But the trouble with that is that silicone will bond permanently to the silicone base, and that'll be a £40 mould going in the bin. So I think instead what I'm going to use is a hot glue gun, which will give me some sort of mechanical adhesion without the chemical bonding, which means that once the epoxy has cured, I should be able to remove the guitar and the mould all in one piece from the base. That's the plan, but that's for another day. Well, thanks for watching along another episode. If you're enjoying this, by all means, please like and subscribe and hit the bell button, and then you won't be missing any more episodes. Hope to see you in the next episode when we play with hot glue guns and make an awful bloody big mess. Until then, see ya.